Yeah, where's Peter?
Oh, he went to get plastic surgery.
He did?
Yeah, Korea's the plastic surgery capital of the world. Nobody here thinks you look good unless you have big round eyes and a tiny little nose and chin.
Hey, guys.
Peter, are you all right?
You know what? I feel good. I feel like I want to giggle behind my hand at a lot of things and hold but not eat a big ice cream cone.
For almost 3 years now, my girlfriend, who is Korean, had been asking me at least once a month, sometimes once a week, whether she needs to get a nose job or eyelid surgery or some other kind of surgical enhancement to her face. Now, the first few times she asked me this, I thought she was joking because, well, she's very attractive. So for her to ask if she needs plastic surgery is like Arnold Schwarzenegger asking if he needs muscle implants. And also at that point, I had never met anyone who had done plastic surgery. I have since met some of my girlfriend's family members and friends who have had procedures done, but before that, plastic surgery was a foreign concept to me. And I thought of it as something that perhaps celebrities like Kim Kardashian or Michael Jackson would get, but I never considered people in my life could get them too. So initially, whenever my girlfriend asked me, I would just laugh. But then she went on a trip to Korea to visit her family and called me from Korea asking the same question again, but this time I realized she was serious. She had essentially been looking at the clinics and the surgeons and the pricing menus of different procedures and was otherwise ready to get on the operating table, but wanted my opinion on whether I thought it was necessary for her. Now, if you're a feminist watching this, please relax. Obviously, my girlfriend or any other adults in my life are their own people. They have the autonomy to make their own decisions. My girlfriend didn't need my permission to get plastic surgery, nor was she asking for it. She simply wanted my opinion on whether she needed it. So I said no, not because I thought there was anything morally wrong with plastic surgery. I just honestly couldn't see how her face could be further improved, surgically or otherwise. And then I asked her, why do you think you need plastic surgery? Because I was genuinely curious about why she would think that. And what are the social, cultural, and economic factors that make someone as beautiful as she is feel the need to surgically modify her face? Now, she didn't really go that deep with her answer, but we will in this video. South Korea is widely known as the cosmetic surgery capital of the world. And there are a few reasons for this, one of which is that plastic surgery is incredibly common there. South Korea has the highest rate of plastic surgery in the world, especially in the capital city of Seoul. Depending on which study you look at, anywhere between 1 in 3 to 1 in 5 women in South Korea have undergone at least one cosmetic procedure. To put this in perspective, statistically, you're more likely to find a woman with a cosmetic procedure in Korea than you are to find an adult with a gym membership in the US. And since plastic surgery is so common, it is also quite normalized. I talked earlier about my impression of plastic surgery as this foreign concept, and that is not an impression shared by the average South Korean. And unlike in many other countries where plastic surgery is associated with vanity, in Korea it's perceived more like an ordinary self-improvement tool, almost like getting braces or wearing makeups. So as you walk around the streets of Seoul, you're very likely walking amongst both people with plastic surgeries and advertisements for plastic surgeries. Sometimes you can see several plastic surgery ads side by side. Here's a picture of this at the subway station with ads featuring dramatic before and after images. And in those ads, clinics often market these surgeries like typical retail services rather than medical procedures. They offer discounts, seasonal promotion, and sometimes package deals that almost look like a combo meal at a fast food restaurant. Like if you order a burger at McDonald's, sometimes the cashier will ask, do you just want a burger or do you want the meal and get fries and drink with that? Similarly, the plastic surgery clinics will do a promotion that essentially asks you, do you just want the double eyelid surgery or do you want to get the combo and get a nose job and breast implants too as part of our Black Friday sales package or whatever it was? Now, one of the reasons plastic surgery is so pervasive is because the contemporary Korean culture deeply values physical beauty, specifically how well one's appearance aligns with the Korean beauty standard. Now, of course, Korea is not the only culture that likes beautiful people. We humans, as a species of primate, have preferred the better-looking members among us throughout our evolutionary history. But although beauty ideals and this emphasis on appearance is not unique to Korea, it is uniquely intense in Korea. So much so that there is a stereotype here in the West about Korean being beautiful. Linguistically, the association between the word Korean and beauty are so strong that some people use Korean as a compliment. And in some social context, the question, "Are you Korean?" is interpreted as a compliment too. Like if you ask an East Asian or Southeast Asian woman whether she's Korean, she might just say thank you instead of actually answering the question. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone to use this method to compliment Asian people. Apparently, some Asians perceive it as a stereotype and get really triggered by this, so do it at your own risk. But apart from this Western perception, in terms of what this heightened focus on physical beauty actually looks like in everyday Korean life, there's an article in the Korea Times that illustrates this quite well. It's written by a professor who is Korean but left Korea to work at a university in New York. He then returned to Korea and wrote about his observation. Quote, "Coming back to Korea, one of the most tangible things I feel and see is people's preoccupation with their physical appearance." And this is one of the examples he gave. Quote, "Why does my golf instructor looks like a K-pop idol and is dressed like one when he teaches golf? And everyone in this indoor screen golf facility looks posh, with men wearing neon-colored tight pants and women wearing short skirts along with knee socks, all carrying luxury golf bags." He made similar observation of the staff at the dumpling shop, and even his barber looks like a model. So people in all lines of work and all areas of life really tend to put in more effort to present themselves more attractively when there seems to be no obvious reasons why they need to look that attractive in those contexts. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Dressing well and looking put together can be a sign of respect, both for yourself and for the people around you. But in Korea, this cultural pressure to look good all the time is so strong that it shapes daily life in ways that potentially go beyond personal choice. For example, the Korean term 외모지상주의, which translates to Lookism, refers to prejudice or discrimination based on physical appearance. Essentially, those who don't meet Korea's strict beauty standards may find themselves at a disadvantage in various aspects of life. This includes employment, where one's physical appearance is often considered a professional qualification. This is reflected in common Korean sayings like appearance is also a qualification and your face is your competitive edge. Now, look-based biases aren't unique to Korea. They exist everywhere. For example, in the West, there are terms like beauty premium or pretty privilege that describes how attractive people are treated better in certain situations, including hiring and promotions. However, in Western countries, explicit discrimination based on appearance is often discouraged, if not outright illegal, in the context of work. In a job interviews, for example, the interviewers might be subconsciously affected by their cognitive biases, like the halo effect, that cause them to falsely associate the candidate's good look with competence. But this is often unintentional, meaning the hiring managers are not consciously aware that appearance is influencing the decisions. And even when they are aware of it, companies tend to avoid openly admitting that because they don't want to get sued. But in the Korean job market, physical appearance is often an explicit part of the evaluation process, and this is for jobs where looks have no relevance. For example, it is customary for job applicants to submit their photo along with their resume when applying for jobs, expecting that both will be taken into account. Some job listings also include explicit description of the physical appearance of an ideal candidate, often using terms like neat and beautiful. And again, these are not jobs where looks traditionally matter, like modeling or acting, but more like normal office jobs. And when preparing for interviews, many job seekers, especially women, spend more time on their appearance, like makeups and hair, than preparing for the actual interview questions. And that's how much they expect their looks to matter to the outcome of the interview. And they're not wrong. A 2016 survey found that more than 60% of companies said they would penalize applicants who did not include a photo in their application. And nearly 40% said they would disqualify someone altogether if they didn't submit a picture. When asked why photos were necessary, the most common reasons company gave was that they could, quote, determine the candidate's personality and tendencies based on their appearance. And when candidates do include photos, their looks indeed have a measurable impact on the outcome. Quote, 33.7% of human resource managers admitted that they had employed attractive candidates even if their qualifications were lacking. And 48% said they had deducted points and eliminated applicants solely based on looks. And because looks matter so much in hiring, some Koreans see plastic surgery as a professional investment, not vanity. The same way you might invest in an online course to improve your qualification for a job, getting surgery is sometimes viewed as a similar kind of investment to increase competitiveness in the job market. Getting surgery to improve one's employment prospects has happened frequently enough that it's got its own name, called employment surgery. And some parents even gift their children plastic surgery upon their graduation to boost their career prospect and prospects in life in general. This happens enough that some plastic surgery clinics would run special promotions targeting graduating students specifically. Another area where looks usually play a crucial role is dating. This again is true worldwide, where in general good-looking people naturally have an advantage. The importance of look is further escalated with dating apps. For example, how important is looks on Tinder? Well, it's very important. Someone could upload a few attractive photos and leave every other sections of their profile blank and still get more matches. Although some people do read the other sections of someone's profile before swiping on Tinder to see if there's a commonality with interest or personality match. But dating apps in Korea have turned things up a notch. For example, some Korean dating apps have a 7-second time limit within which you need to swipe on the profile. So it's trying to give you just enough time to only look at the photos, encouraging you to focus on looks as much as possible. There are also ranking systems in some dating apps that allow users to rate each other's looks, which results in a ranking for your appearance amongst all the users in your area. And not only do they provide an overall attractiveness ranking, they also break it down by individual facial features, like nose, jaws, eyes, etc. So you might be told that you have a nose that is above average, a jaw that ranks average, but your eyes rank below average. This goes beyond objectifying people based on looks. At this point, you're almost objectifying the objectification of someone's look, if that makes sense. It's like a double objectification, where you first objectify someone into a score based on just looks, and then you objectify that looks further by breaking it down into individual components, and you rank each of them individually against everyone else in that area. I don't know how much this contribute to the high rate of plastic surgery in Korea, but if your features are already isolated and ranked individually in this way, it might make it easier to consider plastic surgery, because I'm no longer seeing how all of my features fit together as a whole that represent who I am. Rather, I'm looking at them individually, and if the apps tells me that I have an above average nose but below average eyes, well, maybe my eyes are the problem and I should get surgery on them. One of the more problematic aspects of plastic surgery in a society that values beauty so highly is that it creates a self-reinforcing cycle driven by individual choices and the competition they feel. It creates a situation akin to prisoner's dilemma in game theory, where the entire society is at what's called a Nash equilibrium with regard to their use of plastic surgery. These academic terms might sound complicated, but I have a perfect analogy that makes sense of this. The analogy comes from a Chinese TV show called 小舍得, which I first came across in this YouTube video. And here's the analogy. Imagine you're watching a movie in a theater, and the people in front of you suddenly start to stand up to get a better view of the movie. But now they're blocking your view, so you have to stand up, which in turn causing the people behind you to also stand up, which causes the people behind them to stand up, and so on. Before long, the entire theater is standing. At this point, two unsavory things materialize. First, because everyone is standing up, no one actually has a better view. But everyone effectively has the same view as when they were all sitting down. But they're all still putting in the extra effort to stand, and this extra effort is therefore pointless and wasted. Secondly, and this is the more insidious part, no one can afford to sit back down. There's a similar dynamic that fuels the high rate of plastic surgery in Korea to some degree. Beauty is a competitive advantage in Korea, whether it's in employment or dating or any other areas of life. So some people begin getting plastic surgery to gain an edge. As more people follow suit, the beauty standard rises as a whole, creating a beauty inflation effect. Beauty as a competitive asset is contextual. It's determined by how attractive you are compared to others. Therefore, since everyone has become more beautiful, no one is actually more beautiful than anyone else. So no one gains an advantage. Everyone ends up at the same place they were before. Just like how everyone is standing up in the movie theater, therefore no one is getting a better view. And yet, no one can afford to not get plastic surgeries because doing so would put them at a disadvantage. So we've got a whole society of people putting in the extra effort to be more attractive while producing no winners. It's just a lot of wasted efforts. And yet, on an individual level, no one can afford to stop. And as beauty standards keep escalating, future generations may feel even greater pressure to undergo more procedures, potentially perpetuating the cycle indefinitely. Now, the traditional media in Korea is often cited as a key driver for the Korean beauty standard. And indeed, Korean entertainment like K-pop and Korean dramas often feature artists who have undergone plastic surgery themselves to fit into the Korean beauty standards. And content that features these people get pushed across the country and across the world, causing the fans of these celebrities to aspire to look like that too, therefore potentially motivating some of them to seek out plastic surgery as well. This beauty ideal set by traditional media is then further perpetuated by social media, which achieves this by fueling beauty competition between people. Because with social media, you're no longer just comparing yourself to the people around you. Rather, you are now comparing yourself to the most beautiful people all over the world. What's more, one of the common problems people often talk about with social media is that you don't really know what's real anymore. This has become more and more true with the recent progress in AI. For example, beauty editing apps are quite popular in Korea. My girlfriend likes this app called Snow, for example. She even makes me download it on my phone and will get mad at me if I try to delete it. I don't know how much of her thinking she needs plastic surgery is caused by this app, but these apps essentially photoshops your face in real time according to the filter you select. And these filters can give you smoother skin, larger eyes, softer features, put makeup on your face when there isn't any. Like here, it seems to give me fake eyelashes, which is somewhat disturbing. It basically takes your face and changes it so it better fits into the existing beauty standard. The immediate effect of these apps is the reinforcement of existing beauty standards, because the most popular filters are the ones that align with societal ideals of beauty, and as people use them and post the results of them onto social media, they spread these unrealistic standards onto others. What's more concerning is that as you use these apps, you're not just comparing yourself to digitally enhanced versions of other people. You're also comparing yourself to digitally enhanced versions of yourself. And this is something that's explored in depth in the video titled East Asian Beauty Standards Are Exhausting. And the idea is that if these apps make you look prettier in your photos, it doesn't necessarily make you feel prettier. Rather, it can make you feel uglier compared to your digital enhancement. To go down this rabbit hole even further, there's no limit to how much an image of you can be digitally modified. For example, in 2021, there was a beautiful Japanese female biker who became famous on social media. But she turned out to be a 50-year-old man who had been deepfaking himself into a beautiful girl. If an app can turn a 50-year-old man into a beautiful woman, it can turn a woman into a beautiful woman. So as you compare yourself to the result of these digital filters, you might feel like you're comparing yourself to yourself, but in reality, you don't really know what you're comparing yourself to. You don't know how much of it is still you and how much of it is digital modification. And the end result, in any case, is more likely to make you feel inadequate and in need of plastic surgery so that you can look more like the results of your beauty editing apps. Now, an important thing to acknowledge is that there are costs to plastic surgery. The most basic cost is financial, to the degree that people feel the necessity to get plastic surgery in Korea. That adds to the cost of living in Korea in a very basic sense. You need to pay for food and shelter and clothing and now plastic surgery. So in this sense, the financial cost of beauty serves as a class separator that further reinforces social inequality. That is, since being beautiful in Korea is seen as a form of capital that can improve career, dating, social status, and so on, the richer you are, the more access you have to beauty enhancement, which gives you more advantage to further increase your wealth. This process then further widens social disparity. But in addition to this basic financial cost, there are also costs of risks to your health, both physical and mental health. In terms of physical health risks, plastic surgeries are medical procedures, therefore carry inherent medical risks, such as infections, excessive bleeding, and other complications. Also, mistakes and accidents can happen during procedures that result in scarring or other disfigurement that can leave you worse off than you were before. There are mental health risks as well. For example, the process of considering and getting plastic surgery can cause you to become more and more obsessed about your look, which can escalate to body image issues, even body dysmorphia or plastic surgery addiction. And in general, it can make you feel unnecessarily self-conscious about the way you look, which can lead to negative mental health outcomes like anxiety or depression. And since these various costs of beauty enhancement tend to fall disproportionately more on women than men, it becomes a gender inequality issue too. And that brings us to the ultimate question. Has the Korean plastic surgery industry gone too far? Now, I don't think this question can be answered objectively. Different people will have different opinions. So in many ways, this is a personal question. Namely, has it gone too far for you? Now, to help you answer this question, here are a couple of things to consider. First, I believe in adults living in free societies having the freedom to make their own decisions. So if someone wants or doesn't want plastic surgery, they should have the freedom to choose that for themselves. In the basic sense, there's nothing in Korean societies that explicitly force people to receive plastic surgery against their will, at least not from a legal perspective. But given how highly regarded physical appearance is in Korea, is plastic surgery really a choice, or is it a necessity to some degree if one wants to meaningfully compete in society? And insofar as a person perceives plastic surgery as a necessity, is it really optimal to consider plastic surgery as a solution to lookism, or does it only perpetuate the problem? And is it really wise to define beauty in competition with each other? I mean, can a person be beautiful by themselves, or can they only be beautiful when compared to other people? And if it is the latter, when everyone becomes beautiful, is anyone beautiful? Now, I know I just threw a bunch of questions at you under the premise of providing clarity. I don't know if that actually helped, so let me provide some answers. There are two opposite perspectives here about plastic surgery, and both have merits. On the one side, we have people who view plastic surgery as empowering. Looks used to be something outside of our control. We were born with the face we had, and we were stuck with it for the rest of our lives. And if we find ourselves in a society that values looks, having no control over our looks means having no control over our lives to some extent. Plastic surgery then gives us a choice. It gives us control over what used to be outside of our control and puts more of our destiny into our own hands. On the other side, there are people who argue that it is the immense value society places on physical beauty that is to blame. And plastic surgery doesn't solve the problem, but perpetuates it with negative consequences on those affected by it. The Korean artist Ji Eo was able to show this visually with an art project titled Draw On Me. She went on the streets of New York and invited people to draw on the areas of her body where they think she should get plastic surgery. And by the end, she was covered in marker ink, which is meant to visually illustrate the consequences that a look-based society can have on those living in it. Perhaps the truth is somewhere in the middle of these two arguments, or perhaps both are true at the same time. In any case, on a societal scale, there seems to be some evidence of an ongoing cultural shift in Korea away from lookism and rigid beauty standards and toward fairer practices. For example, there are cultural movements in Korea like Escape the Corset, which is a feminist movement against lookism that forces women to adhere to rigid beauty standards and disproportionately bear the cost of beauty. There has also been various forms of anti-discriminatory laws being proposed and sometimes passed that seeks to make the job search process more fair, and some progress have been made. For example, Korean companies used to be even more blatant about their look-based discrimination, where they would directly ask for job seekers' weight, height, and body size on the application, and they don't do this anymore. There were also laws passed in 2019 that forbids government job postings to explicitly ask for candidates' photographs. And in general, a lot of Korean job postings no longer explicitly ask for photos, which seems to imply that they are leaving it as a choice for the candidates about whether they want to include photos. That said, lookism is still ingrained in contemporary Korean culture, and job seekers tend to include their photos anyway, regardless of whether it is explicitly asked for. Because given how competitive the job market is, one wouldn't want to take any chances. In any case, culture, law, and public sentiment seems to be moving towards the direction of less emphasis on looks, which hopefully will release some pressure on the future generation over time, so that they can get plastic surgery only when they want to, not because they have to, and my girlfriend can hopefully stop asking me whether she needs a nose job.